Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. To give myself a little introduction, my name is Camilla. I am a YCR Sustainability Coordinator, and I was involved in the hiring committee for hiring summer students from across the country this summer. I am originally from Quebec. I'm currently doing my master in environmental management and climate change. And most importantly, I'm super excited to be here today. So welcome back to YCR's Food for Thought series. For those of you who are just seeing YCR for the first time, we are an advocacy group made by students for students and by young professionals for young professionals. We believe that Canada has a strong future in resources, the economy, and the environment. Please connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn at YC Resources, or even our email list if you want to learn more about what we do. So this is a special Food for Thought because we have like not 2, 3, but 4 panelists with us today. So we will be talking about getting hired for a summer job and how to get the most of your summer position. So with me today are Eric Zobas from Imperial Oil, Angie Fricke from Obsidian Energy, Mandee Sugimoto from Tamarack Valley Energy, and Tanya Dickison from NuVista. So maybe, Eric, do you want to start by introducing yourself?
Yeah, I can go ahead. I got a bit of a long bio here, but thank you for the introduction and for having us today, Camila. This is my first session, so I'm excited to be here. But for all of you, my name is Eric Zobas. I currently work at Imperial Oil here in Calgary, Alberta. I'm originally from Ontario, born and raised, and I studied at Brock University and graduated with a Bachelor of Accounting degree in 2021. And then shortly after, I joined the company, so it'll be 2 years with Imperial as of June. And I'm in my second role rotation. My first role with the company, I was the intercompany analyst, where I managed our intercompany debt, between affiliates and consolidated and prepared our related party reporting. And right now, I'm the corporate reporting OPEX analyst here in the upstream. So primarily, I analyze, consolidate, and present our upstream operating expenditures, and I get to work very closely with the business and ExxonMobil. And I'm sure as most of the folks here in the audience are co-op students, or whether they're currently on a term or about to be on a work term. I did complete a co-op back in 2019 with the company. I was at Imperial for 8 months in the internal audit group. Personally, I think it was one of the best experiences I've had. Firstly, getting to move from Ontario to Calgary, for a short period of time really opens you up to a number of different perspectives and almost acts as a bit of a fresh start. And personally, I think I had a tremendous experience during my work term. Some of the key highlights were, getting to travel to Houston with the audit team, seeing the headquarter campus and, networking with not only my team, but also ExxonMobil employees. And, I did get to lead an audit engagement. So that was probably the highlight of my work experience, being able to develop my skills, from leadership, teamwork, and organizational skills, and then, build those relationships with management and meet like-minded people, and hopefully build friendships for the long term. So I still keep in touch with most of the folks that I went to school with and co-op. So it's truly a fun experience. And when I reflect back on my 2 years with the company and my overall co-op experience, I think it has really opened up the door to a number of different opportunities in the industry and the company. I mean, firstly, ExxonMobil is owned, or Imperial's owned by ExxonMobil, so you get to work with a large global organization with a lot of diverse people. I mean, I worked with people in the UK, in Brazil, Argentina, Budapest, Thailand. So you get to see a large diverse background, and overall the career path is very intriguing. So really the opportunities are endless. There's a number of different divisions you can work in, right? You can work in the upstream, downstream, the corporate. It's really up to you and how you want to make your career work. From my perspective, having a bit of a controller's background, finance function background, I've had the chance to work in financial reporting, audit. There's groups like treasurers, tax, business analysis and reporting, and many more that you can pursue a career in. So I guess for advice for co-op students, I mean, the experience is really what you decide to make of it. And what I mean by that is it doesn't matter who you are, what your education background is. If you want something as part of your experience, you need to go after it, communicate, what you want to achieve throughout your co-op term and your experience to your manager, express those interests and see how they can, help guide you in your co-op term and your future careers. So I will say, try and step outside your comfort zone. That's the best way to, learn from your experience. And really it'll make you stick out, for, coming back on a second term or a full-time hire. Be committed, show up. I mean, times are a little different now with the hybrid work environment, but, if you see that your team is in the office, try and be there, especially if you're, from out of town. If you're living by yourself, it really helps, being able to connect with your coworkers and building that relationship. And, be confident, have a good attitude, and, contribute to, your work, and it'll have a lasting impact. I will say, you're coming in, you don't need to be an expert. You're there to learn and build your skills set and, build those lasting relationships. So that's kind of my introduction and advice. I'll go ahead and pass it off to Camila.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. I'm super excited to have you on the panel today. So Angie, do you want to go next and introduce yourself quickly?
For sure. Thank you so much for the introduction, Camilla. And I would just like to thank YCR and Canada Action for hosting this webinar and the invitation. So just a little bit about myself. My name is Angie, and I currently work for Obsidian Energy as a senior operations coordinator. A fun fact, I'm also an elected official as a councillor with the town of Carstairs. My education includes the land agent diploma from Olds College and the University of Calgary Project Management Certificate. In addition, I have my PMP accreditation and IAP2 certification. So I've worked at Obsidian for over 13 years and am currently responsible for our summer student program, fleet management, field office management, and field HR, community investment, and special projects. Working at Obsidian Energy has been amazing. We were originally founded back in 1979, and we produce roughly 33,000 barrels of oil equivalent a day. We are headquartered in Calgary and have operations in Peace River, Rocky Mountain House, Drayton Valley, and Esther. We employ around 300 employees and contractors across all disciplines, including accounting, finance, IT, engineering, operations, health, safety, regulatory, environment, HR, and various corporate functions. So a little bit about our summer student program. We're currently in our 3rd year of operation. This year, we are very fortunate to have welcomed 6 students, and shortly we'll be welcoming a 7th to our team. Our students are currently from disciplines in engineering, IT, accounting, and geology. What we offer our students is truly an entrepreneurial and full circle approach to learning, where they can apply their theoretical knowledge to gain hands-on experience. No one likes being pigeonholed, so we make sure that no matter what educational discipline, all of our students will be exposed to every department of the company to understand how our business works. So from the administration stream to the C-suite, our students are exposed to truly every level throughout the organization. Our students are each assigned a dedicated mentor during their term and are assigned as a project lead to a specific task in addition to regular responsibilities. And so what this does is give our students the hands-on experience to become entrenched in the business, have ownership of a task, and contribute to the success of the team and the company. And throughout our students' term, they will attend the Global Petroleum Show, tour a drilling rig, attend meetings such as our senior management meeting and operational meetings, tour our field operations, attend Calgary Stampede functions, and they will wrap up the year by presenting to the company, their mentors, and the executive team about their term at Obsidian Energy. And just to carry on with what Eric was talking about on just some tips. So to stand out at the very beginning on the resume, tell us something beyond your academics. Include something on your hobbies, your volunteerism, awards, or something unique about yourself, something that will draw the reader's eye to your resume and make an impact that will make you memorable. In your interview, be honest and don't be afraid to brag about yourself and your accomplishments. If you don't tell us, then we won't know. Tips on how to get asked to return, give your work your all. The work you do during the summer will have your name on it, and it will be part of your legacy at the company. Offer to help, be open to new things, be humble and hungry, be a team player and work hard, be reliable and dependable. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I ask for help all the time. Don't be afraid about making a mistake. Own up to it when you make a mistake. Mistakes are the best opportunity. Give us feedback. Let us know if what we're asking or what we're presenting is not making sense, and let us know how we can improve and do better. and don't be afraid to ask for things. I always say the worst thing that can happen is someone is just going to tell you no. And just to close, you know, the oil and gas industry is truly a very, very exciting industry to work in. It is fast paced, it is agile, it is challenging. You'll never stop learning. It is extremely rewarding, from work experience, travel opportunities, technology, educational opportunities, and pay and benefits. The industry is very rewarding. And there are jobs beyond just operations and engineering. It could be finance, it could be IT, it could be maintenance, administration, really that the sky's the limit. And truly, it's definitely an industry that I think needs to be looked at more by you know, young professionals. So Camilla, thank you so much, and I'll hand it back to you.
Well, thank you, Angie. It all seems very great, and I'm excited to have you here to speak about your experience for sure. Mandee, would you like to go next and introduce yourself?
Sure, my name is Mandee Sugimoto. I've been at Tamarack for 7 years. Started as reception, then executive assistant. Now I do HR governance. Outside of Tamarack, I also do photography and coach skating. At Tamarack, we're really trying to prioritize operational excellence while focusing on that importance of environmental stewardship and community engagement. Here this year, we have 8 summer students. It's more than we've ever had. It's a very exciting year. This is probably this year I've received more invitations for our summer students to mingle with other summer students than any other year. So it's really exciting. They've already had such a great opportunity to go to multiple places. So we're very excited for them. They'll be involved in lots of our staff events. They'll get an opportunity to work in other departments that way and meet everybody, network with staff, as well as we'll get them out into the city networking with each other, which is really great. At the end of their summer term, they will have a presentation they'll give right to the executive, and they'll have already met the executive multiple times throughout their summer term. So they'll be ready to give a very casual overview of what they've learned, what they've accomplished, what they'd like to learn more of next year. We quite often have same summer students returning year after year. So we'll look at our summer students, and ones that really engage and ask a lot of questions, and they really show initiative, they'll definitely get welcome back. We actually have 4 prior summer students that now have full-time employment here at Tamarack. So yeah, for tips for returning, I would say just ask a lot of questions. You know, put up your hand when someone needs help. Don't be afraid to pitch in other departments. And yeah, just be a good team player.
Well, that's nice. Thank you, Mandee. It seems like a very exciting summer program that you have this summer. And Tanya, do you want to go next to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Camilla. Yeah, hi, everybody, fellow panelists. It's nice to meet you all, those of you that I don't already know, and all the students on the line as well. Welcome. So I'm the HR director here for NuVista Energy, and we're an E&P company, and we operate here in Alberta, about 70,000 BOE a day, and we operate in the Montney Formation that's just outside of Grand Prairie. Most of our staff and our operations actually live in and around the Grand Prairie area, and our operations are within pretty much a 45-minute drive of Grand Prairie as well. I have been in HR for more years than I'm going to say on this call, and spent most of my time in the energy industry. And I'm really excited to hear more about what our panelists have to say. And I was going to share a little bit about some of the tips and tricks, but maybe I will turn it over to Camilla I think you might have a list of questions there, Camilla. Do we want to turn it over to you, and then we'll go from there?
Oh yeah, that works for sure. Thanks. So I just want to reiterate how grateful I am that you guys are here with me today. So I will be asking questions to our panel that have been written directly by young students. So a big thank you for all the questions submitted for today's food for thought. So the plan here is that I'll direct those questions specifically to one of you four, but be more than welcome to add to someone else answer if you have something to add on or to say. So before going any further, please note that the attendees are encouraged to ask questions throughout the presentation using the Q&A box, which we'll address at the end of the session. Yeah, so I'd like to spend like the first part of our time together kind of talking about hiring and the interview process. And after that, I'd like to hear your thoughts on how to get the most of your job once you're hired. So if that's a plan that works for you guys. So before getting started, I think, Tanya, you had like some questions that people could maybe answer in the Q&A throughout the presentation. Is that so?
Yeah, I thought it might be interesting. I know we're going to kind of cover off some tips and tricks and ideas that we have, but you know, I think most of the students that might be on Facebook Live or on the call here have probably been with the companies for a couple weeks, maybe even a couple days. And I just thought if you could all maybe go into the chat, I'd be curious to hear about I guess how we're doing in terms of onboarding and how we're doing in terms of your overall experience. So if you have any tips for us, I thought you could share those as well, and we could all take those back to our companies. So feel free to chime in if you have something you want to share.
Oh, thank you, Tanya. That's a very good point. Onboarding can be kind of challenging for some people, which I understand. So before we get on to talking about onboarding and such, I kind of want to get started with questions about hiring. So like the hiring process. And I want to talk about like the struggle of some students to find a job to apply for in the first place. And I'll direct this question maybe to Angie. So from your own experience, what has been like the best way for job seekers to search for jobs openings, and what are some common mistakes to avoid maybe?
For sure, that's a great question. So having not been on university in quite some time, not being on campus, I think the job board can sometimes be a bit of a limitation to students. I believe that it's a paid program that students have to pay to get exposure to jobs that are posted by employers. So what we at Obsidian have done is that our HR group will post it conventionally through the university, but we'll also communicate it through past students that worked with us, have them share it amongst their peer group, amongst other students. Sometimes we'll post it, like we'll have the students post it like on the bulletin boards within campus, do it on Indeed, do it on LinkedIn. And so I think the biggest part is just getting the word out. It seems that the days of when you would fax a resume or drop it off in person are kind of gone. And now everything is just online. Everything's an online submission. And so when you have these submissions and you have, tens to hundreds of resumes that come in, that's where I think it's really important for the job seekers to do something that makes a resume stand out, to grab the reviewer's eye, something like a pop of color, or maybe a bolded name, or maybe in your about you, instead of saying I'm a highly motivated professional. I think we're all highly motivated professionals, but something like truly unique about you that's gonna be like, oh, I remember this person, they said this. So just do something to make your resume and make your intro just stand out a bit to get the reviewer's attention.
Oh, that's very great advice. I think that I like during my experience kind of hiring some summer students, I always remembered like the unique piece of their resume. So that's definitely a good advice here. So maybe I can talk from my experience. So I'm from Quebec and I work in another province right now for the summer, and that's not the norm. Like how I always hear a lot about students who would like to work in another province than theirs, and to like discover the country and meet different people. So maybe I'll direct this question to you, Mandee. So what would you say to students who are interested in taking advantage of job opportunities in other provinces? And have you ever like hired people from other provinces to your summer program?
Well, all of our operations are in Alberta. So the only experience that we have specifically is that we have had students who are from Ontario who come here to Alberta to work. So they'd have to be willing to be here in person for their work term. And it may be somewhere in the field in Alberta, but we would definitely negotiate helping them get here, maybe giving them a bit of an allowance. But yeah, we definitely have had some very successful summer students come from different Ontario specifically universities, but we'd be willing to recruit someone from any province.
Oh, that's good. That's exciting for people who might want to apply to a different place and spend the summer in another province than theirs. So moving on, like we often hear about the importance of networking and making connections to find a job or land an interview somewhere. So Eric, you were a summer student once. I'd like to know your thoughts on this. Like in your experience, has networking helped you getting interviews and finding a summer position and such?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, absolutely, networking plays a big part in your job search. I think from my perspective, it was a little unique. I was from Ontario. There was no job fair for, oil and gas energy out at Brock, and most of my peers kind of went the Big Four accounting route, and I wanted to be a little different and stand out. Going back on the previous question, taking advantage of that opportunity, I saw a job posting on the school job board for Imperial Oil. I had an interest in it. I said, hey, I'm young. Now's the time to, move out here and, work and see if I like it. And, I took that opportunity and I went with it. But networking does play a big part. I personally didn't know anyone in Calgary at the time, so I can't comment from that perspective. But from my perspective, in terms of when I was going through the job hunting process as a student, the networking plays a big part, whether it's career fair days, et cetera. And I would say tips and recommendations, if you do have an interest in a company or a certain role or have friends that have had that opportunity, reach out to them on LinkedIn, send them a message, tell them you're interested, ask them to, give them some background about the company, their role, their experience, how they liked it, and, use that to really, get your foot in the door and see how you can, be in their position, whether it's next year or, the year after that. And that's probably the easiest way because most people out there are, happy to chat with their experiences.
Yeah, I like what you're saying that like when you're young, it's like the opportunity, it's like the great time to take an opportunity to work abroad or to work at different places. And it's great to hear about your personal experience. So maybe let's take a moment to talk about resumes. We all have different experiences and backgrounds, and that's what makes our resumes unique and different. So Tanya, what kind of previous experience do you usually look for when it comes to summer students? And what would you suggest for students who want to acquire more experience for their resume?
Yeah, I think it's really important that people think about all of the different experiences they have, so transferable experience as well. So, we understand that some students applying for jobs maybe don't have past summer terms or direct work experience, but indirectly, really highlighting what experiences, maybe it's working with a particular student association or volunteering, maybe it's coaching or assistant coaching for a particular sports club or something. So, we often look for, good academic standing. So it's important that the grades are there. And again, they don't have to be perfect, but they have to demonstrate that, there's consistency, there's commitment, those sorts of things. And then, we like to look for, well, what else is on there? Are you volunteering? Are you making time to do other things? And really thinking about how all of those different experiences contribute to making you a good potential employee. And then we do something kind of unique, like all of our applicants for jobs, once we select who we're interviewing, we ask everybody to put together a presentation. And the presentation is about highlighting academic performance, but also talking a little bit more about who you are and what you do. And it really gives our applicants, I think, a chance to prepare and think about what they're going to talk about in the interview, but it also gives us an opportunity to get to know each of the applicants a little bit deeper than maybe what I would think a traditional interview might entail.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I feel like it's a great thing to make a connection easily with this type of presentation. That's definitely good. In that same vein, maybe Angie, you would be interested in answering this one. So what are some unexpected things or skills you are usually looking for in summer students for your teams?
That's a great question. So typically we don't see a whole lot of work history on the resumes. Most of it we see is retail, but when we're looking at the resumes that we're seeing, when I see something that's dealing with like front of house or retail experience, what I see there is that this person is a good communicator. And so those would be the transferable skills that we'd be looking for. If they list their hobbies, if they play on a sports team, if they coach a sports team, that shows leadership, that shows team player, that shows they're able to work with other people. So those would be the key things that we would be kind of taking apart when we get those student resumes.
Oh yeah, that's true. Sometimes when you're young, you don't really have like that much work experience. So looking at the hobbies and sports can definitely be a good thing for hiring. And then lastly, interviews are all about like standing out as great candidates. So Mandee, can you tell me a story where someone stood out during an interview and like why they stood out?
Sure. Actually, this season, we had a very interesting candidate apply, and of course they were a bit hesitant. They didn't have a lot of experience, but we just made it like a conversation, and the candidate had lots of fun stories to tell. He was very engaging, wanted to tell us more, we could just tell that he was going to fit in with the team. His experience in other areas were very significant. He had dedicated a lot of time and energy to his past commitments, and we could tell that he was going to fit in well. And so even though he had no experience, so he didn't think it was tailored to this particular department that we put him in. It was a great fit, and he fits in with the team very well. And so now all he has to do is just apply his skills in a different way, and it's going to be very successful.
Oh, that's a great story. It's like sometimes you might think that you shouldn't apply to a job because you don't necessarily have the experience, but you could be surprised at what you actually bring to the table, right?